There we go. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a special meeting, as you well know, so I think we'll just get on with the business. Welcome to this extraordinary meeting of the Council. I'll start with some domestic arrangements for the meeting. Due to the regulations surrounding voting, only those members physically present are able to vote. Mobile devices, please ensure that all electronic equipment is either on silent mode or switched off. And as you can see, I'm doing that myself now. There are no planned fire alarms, so if it does sound, please leave via the emergency exits. The meeting is being live streamed during open session for members of the public to watch. If you would like to speak, please press your microphone to let me know. When I invite you to speak, your microphone will turn red. Please do not obstruct your mouth to ensure that anyone lip reading can do so. If you have any issues, please let Democratic Services know. Some points of procedure for members. I don't think we'll be getting any questions tonight. Members asking a question on the agenda item have a maximum of 3 minutes and may ask one supplementary question directly related to the original question. When speaking on an item, all members must address the issue under debate. No speech may exceed 5 minutes. Now, I am going to be lenient tonight because it is an extremely important issue on that. A member who has spoken once on a motion may not speak again whilst it is being debated, except in specific circumstances. Also, individual members of the public, do we have any? I can't see any, will be restricted to speaking for 5 minutes. So with that, we will move on to item 1, which is apologies for absence.
We have apologies from councillors James Flannery, Jane Bell, Ian Watkinson, Caleb Tomlinson, Will Adams and George Rea, Mr Mayor.
Thank you very much. Declarations of interest. Members are reminded of their responsibility to declare any pecuniary interest in respect of matters contained in the agenda. Are there any declarations of interest? Michael? Sorry.
Okay, thank you, Mr Mayor. Can I declare a personal non-pecuniary interest as a member of Lancashire County Council? And I look forward to listening to the views of members this evening.
Thank you. Are there any other declarations? Councillor Magnum.
Mr Mayor, it's not a declaration, but I just asked for some points of clarity from the monitoring officer. Councillor Green is a cabinet member at Lancashire County Council and has already made a decision on this. So to be honest to our residents, and I'd just like some clarification, can he justifiably stand here and say that he has an open mind on this when he's already made a decision as a cabinet member at Lancashire County Council?
Councillor Green.
Didn't expect to have to make a personal explanation, Mr Mayor, but Councillor Wharton-Hardman needs to pay a little more detail to attention. The only vote that I've taken part on, as indeed was as every county councillor who actually turned up at the meeting, which took place on Lancashire Day, the 27th of November, 2 votes were taken. The main vote was on a proposal to go out to public consultation, hence why we are here now, consulting with the residents, businesses, districts, etc. right across Lancashire. And the other one was on an amendment which was proposed by the opposition group at County Hall, specifically in relation to the consultation. So I have not taken any decision as to the contents of the deal, and I keep an open mind, which I will keep throughout this meeting and beyond this meeting until the next meeting of full council at County Hall, which I believe is in March. But thank you for asking the question, Councillor.
Thank you. Councillor Matt Campbell.
It's a non-pecuniary interest as an LCC employee.
Thank you. Councillor David Howarth.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, a non-pecuniary or prejudicial interest as a member of Lancashire County Council. And if I could just echo what Councillor Green has said, I've actually got what we voted for at county in front of me. And if you'd taken the time, you could have read it yourself.
Thank you. Councillor Matthew Tomlinson.
Thank you, Mayor. The very same declaration as a member of the County Council, a personal but non-pecuniary interest. I have to say that I am interested in the fact that Councillor Green, as a cabinet member, has had no influence on the deal that's being put for us for consultation. I guess we'll just have to take his word for it that he doesn't have any influence in the cabinet.
Okay. I have here the monitoring officer. Can we come through the chair, please? This is going to be painful enough as it is, I feel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I did issue some guidance to members about interests in relation to this meeting, particularly those dual-hatted. As I expressed in that note, I don't view this as a pecuniary interest or non-pecuniary interest. There may have been an issue in relation to bias and predetermination. Councillor Green has explained his thought processes in relation to that, and I'm more than happy and satisfied with the explanation that is put forward.
Thank you. Okay. There is no one else, so I will move on to item 3, the Lancashire devolution deal. This item is for a decision. Can I please ask the leader of the council, Councillor Paul Foster, to present the report?
Thanks, Mayor, and thanks, colleagues, for attending this extraordinary meeting of the council. I thought it was exceptionally important as a local authority because it's going to have such a big impact on us that we had an opportunity to debate this and make a decision on what our consultation response is back to the county. I was slightly disappointed at the very short window of opportunity for the consultation. However, we are where we are. Before we start, Mayor, I'd first like to thank the officers for putting forward such a detailed, clear paper and the considerations that we're going to look at tonight. I'd also like to make it abundantly clear to every single member of this council and every single member of our local community that I fully support devolution. I want to see devolved powers to Lancashire. I want Lancashire to have a combined authority akin to Greater Manchester and the Liverpool City region, where we can make our own decisions and we can make a positive impact locally. As a start, Mayor, when you think, where do you start with this? Let me just read out what the Local Government Association defines devolution as. And in England it states, devolution is the transfer of powers and funding from national to local government. It is important because it ensures that decisions are made closer to the local people, communities and businesses they affect. I just ask members just to dwell on that for a second and ask any of you to demonstrate to me within the county combined authority devolution deal that meets that criteria. Show me where devolved powers are coming from and delivering what. Show me where the additional funding is coming from and what it's delivering to us in South Ribble. And Mayor, colleagues, show me what benefits our residents in South Ribble will get directly from this deal. If I may, because I'm going to be quick, but there is a lot of detail here. I think it's important all members, and I know some of you weren't on the previous council, so I'm just going to go through this quickly. Back in 2022, after years of attempts to get every single local authority in Lancashire to agree on principles of a deal, we did. So the county council, every district council agreed 7 core principles for a combined authority. The same motions and recommendations went through every single council in Lancashire. And I'm going to read them out to you because they're important. We agreed that the Lancashire authorities, in combination, do not collectively support a mayor combined authority or local government reform. It's important. We didn't at the time. Mayor, each authority would be represented on the decision-making body by their leader. This does not offer that. Each authority's current services, including statutory function and discretionary services, would not be included in any county deal arrangement without the express agreement of that authority. That is not within this deal. Quite the contrary, they're taking monies off us. Next, the voting principle is one council, one vote, with a 2/3 majority required for any proposal. Colleagues, the majority of local authorities in Lancashire have been excluded and get no vote. Each council, Mayor, would have a veto for any proposal in their area. If their money is required, and please listen to that, if their money is required, or if they can reasonably demonstrate that it is reasonably likely to have a material impact on their area, unless there are special circumstances to proceed. This deal takes money out of our council. Next one. Individual councils will have the right to leave the deal in the decision-making body arrangements. We weren't asked if we wanted to leave the deal. We never got to the deal in the end. And finally, it will be initially chaired by Lancashire County Council, which should also act as the accountable body. Of the 7 core principles that every single authority agreed in 2022, including colleagues, Lancashire County Council, who promoted this deal, they have ditched 5 of them for their own deal. I have tirelessly, colleagues, over the past year, attempted to influence what the County Council was doing. It's only right and proper that I report back to you and state that the County Council went forward approximately 12 months ago, privately and in secret, and opened up negotiations with central government about the County Combined Authority with absolutely no dialogue with any of the district councils. We spoke to ministers in November. It was November before we got any input to government. The minister said, oh, well, the County Council have told us you've been keeping you updated on this at the Lancashire Leaders meeting every month. We said, Minister, that is just not true. Back in November, we didn't even know what the deal was. I reiterate, this council, and me personally, want devolution. We agreed the 7 core principles, how we would deliver devolution for everybody. That isn't what is in front of us tonight. I then look at the deal that the County Council proposing, and I'm aghast that the one additional funding stream, the district councils have managed to negotiate and gain from the government since 2010 is UK share prosperity funding. It's worth approximately £3.5 million to this authority over a 3-year period. The County Council are proposing taking that money off all district councils and redistributing it to their priorities, whatever their priorities may be. If I said to colleagues that in the past 12 months, when the County Councils put forward levelling up bids for the County of Lancashire, how many levelling up bids did they accept from South Ribble Borough Council? None. They wouldn't even look at them. They wouldn't put our bids forward. We look at the City deal, colleagues, and how that's worked with the County Council in collaboration. And it's one of the things I'm going to say to councillors, because some of you may say to me, this is a start, let's just start this deal and see where it goes. What's the saying from Brexit? Was it no deal's better than a bad deal, or a bad deal's better than no? I can't remember what they were saying. However, we entered into the City deal with all the best intentions And look how that's ended up, because it wasn't dealt with correctly at the beginning. You look at what we're being offered by government, what cash government's actually offering. It's offered more to Chorley Council and South Ribble Council and our town deals over the last couple of years than it's offering a county combined authority, for goodness sake. And what's the county decided to spend? 5 million quid's worth of capital funding on their site in Salisbury. How is that devolution? How is that benefiting the county of Lancashire? They're proposing within the papers to have an integrated transport hub for Lancashire. Yet the only integrated transport hub we have in Lancashire at the moment could be argued is in Blackpool, with the trams and the buses and all the trains. And they've decided to exclude that from the integrated transport hub for Lancashire. It's just nonsensical. It's not the right deal for Lancashire. They're also looking to take additional powers of district councils. So one of our statutory functions, and this is really important, please remember this, about 70% of statutory functions in local government are delivered by district or borough councils, about 70%. Yet what they're trying to do with this deal is take some of those functions off us through this Cosy Homes in Lancashire domestic heat product that is our responsibility. But what they're wanting to do is get more involved with planning for housing and start delivering housing. That's our responsibility, is housing, not the county councils. So devolution is about taking powers and money from government and bringing it back into the heart of our communities. This deal isn't offering that, Mayor. It's taking money from district councils, giving it to a county council to see how to distribute how it sees fit. In the deal, I don't know if you when you read the deal, I was astonished when we first sent the deal, by the way, when it was published with everybody else. That's what the county council think of the district councils in Lancashire. When you read it, it says, we may look to do this. We may even look to do that. That's not a deal. I'd do it now. Take a step back, and hopefully you've all read the letter that I think 8 council leaders from Lancashire sent to government. Take a step back now and offer us a proper deal with real money and opportunities for our communities. Finally, Mayor, let me just share with colleagues some of the schemes that we deliver for our community through the UK Share Prosperity Funding, which now will all be at risk if this funding is taken from us. We put money into communities in place, supporting local businesses and our people and our skills. We're putting monies into the Pembrokeshire Master Plan. County want to take that off us. The Worden Hall, the Worden Park improvements, the county wants to take that money from us. Grants for businesses to improve their premises, the county wants to take that off us. We want increased capacity through the UK SPF to deliver community engagement and volunteering activities, community grants and social prescribing, everything that this council does really well, but also that has a huge positive impact on our local community in their time of need. And the county wants to take this from us. Town centre events, promotion of our borough, marketing, business support to our businesses on Liverpool Road, on Huff Lane. We want to take that off us. Our peoples and skills, our CV preparation for our young people, our interview techniques for our adults, all these courses that we run here, the county wants to take that off us with this deal. And there's many, many more. And you'll have all read what we deliver within the UK SPF. This isn't devolution. This is not devolution, Mayor. This is a really, really bad deal for the people of South Ribble and more widely, the people of Lancashire. I'm asking you all to support the recommendations within the report, because I can't understand how any elected member of this council could vote to lose those projects with our communities. And colleagues, those projects are serving each and every ward in South Ribble, helping young people, helping the elderly, helping those looking for jobs, helping those setting up businesses that have struggled through COVID. It'll all go. Please remember what happened about 4 years ago. The former leader of LCC, Councillor Driver, put forward proposals to government to disband every single district council in Lancashire. Is that what's next? I urge you, please, all to support devolution, but make our voice loud. We cannot support this deal for all the reasons detailed within the report. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you, Councillor Foster. I'm aware of how long you spoke. Is this seconded? It's seconded by Councillor Tomlinson.
Thank you, Mayor. Members may not be aware, but government and power making in Great Britain and particularly in England is the most centralised in Western Europe. And that means that most of the decisions that affect our daily lives are not taken where we live. They're taken in Whitehall. So I am a passionate believer in devolution. And in fact, where you see real devolution, then people have been able to make significant changes to the places where they live. And no, I don't think anybody could argue, no matter what your political colour, that Andy Burnham and Andy Street in the West Midlands have been successful proponents of devolution. Give people the powers and they can make decisions that really affect and improve their lives. But this deal fails to do that. In fact, as you've just heard from the leader, it does the opposite of that. In fact, it takes decision making on some things further away from local people and not closer. But the thing that frustrates me most about this so-called deal is the timidity of it, the lack of ambition for Lancashire. And I just want to compare some of the things that happen around the rest of the country than what is going to happen in Lancashire. The Liverpool City Region deal means they get £30 million a year extra in government funding for the next 30 years. £30 million for 30 years. And with a population of 1.8 million, that's nearly £1,900 per person. If you look at South Yorkshire, £30 million a year for 30 years, plus some additional transport funding, over £700 a year. North Tyne, they get £20 million over 30 years, £736 per person. West Yorkshire, £38 million a year for 30 years, population 2.3 million, works out at about £500 a person. Now, the Lancashire deal, no matter how you dress it up and you look at capital funding and money for Samlesbury, the most that I could find there equates to £20 million in total. Not £20 million for 30 years, £20 million in total. The princely sum of £16.18 per person. Now you compare that to what Steve Rotherham in Liverpool is getting, £1,800 per person. The Liverpool City deal brings in exactly almost 100 times as much money per person as this deal brings us. My only consolation in this is that we are months from a general election. Months from a general election when we know with almost certainty there's going to be a change of political leadership in this country. And I've heard Steve Reid, the local government shadow minister, 4 months too early, shadow minister, talk about his passion and belief in devolution. And I hope that this half-baked, ill-thought-through, rushed deal is consigned to the dustbin by the incoming Labour government, and we can talk about real devolution that can deliver real results for the people of Lancashire. And I urge everybody to support the leader on this and vote for the recommendations in the report.
Thank you. That's clearly been seconded. We now move to debate. Are there any questions from members of the council? Just the one, Councillor Karen Walton.
Do I need to stand up or can I sit down?
Not this evening. I will be very kind to everyone because we could be here a while.
I don't find it funny. Before you will have a proposed amendment from the Conservative group, but before that, I'd just like to say a few words. The Level 2 proposed devolution deal, especially designed uniquely for Lancashire, without the elected mayor and the mayoral office and the extra cost that this would have incurred on all our residents, sets Lancashire off at last on the long journey towards increased local powers and resources that will allow Lancashire to make the changes necessary to improve the economy, businesses, prosperity and lives of all our residents. The proposed deal is something that we can build on, and we should embark on this proposed new deal in a positive way, seeing it as at the beginning of a long devolution journey, evolving over time as all devolution deals have had to done. And we have to begin somewhere. And it is the outcomes at the journey's end that is the most important. In consultation with district councils throughout the devolution deal, Lancashire will have control over its own destiny. And we should be getting on now with the proposed deal and work hard together to make this proposed deal even more ambitious and successful in the future. We are not voting to accept the proposed Lancashire deal tonight, but the response from this council to the consultation, which we feel is very negative. And the Conservative group would request that the following recommendations to the responses are accepted. We've been in this situation before, and now we need to move forward and work towards this unique Lancashire devolution deal. We are not voting to accept, as I said, the proposed Lancashire deal, but to the response to the consultation. So unfortunately, the Conservative group cannot support the response to recommendation 25 and have put forward that we support the combined county authority and ask that when Lancashire County Council get to negotiation the final deal, request that 1, there is a formal mechanism for consulting with the 12 district councils and that the 2 representatives appointed to the board are mandated to implement the stated objectives of the board, and 2, the future United Kingdom Shared Prosperity Fund is left to the district councils to distribute. So this is our proposals for tonight.
Thank you, Councillor Watson. Is this seconded? Councillor Margaret Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I rise to second the proposal that we back Lancashire County Council in their negotiations with government. As a number of you in the chamber will know, we have been in this situation before many times, even many years ago. There has always been some dissent and no progress has been made. I feel the report on tonight's council has very negative connotations in response to the offer. We need to move forward and as soon as possible to secure a deal. Our group would like a named vote when the vote is taken, Mr. Mayor, please. Thank you.
We are down for named votes today. So there is no problem there. We now move into debate on the amendment. So we've got Councillor David Howarth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I really am completely bemused by this amendment because what the Conservatives are asking us to do is support a combined county authority that so far even Lancashire County Council hasn't supported. When you were having your attempt at undermining Councillor Green at the outset, he actually explained what the County Council had voted for. And I can read it out to you because the final, that there were 7 measures that the county council voted for when they debated this. And the final one was to receive and consider the results of the consultation and whether to formally submit a final proposal document to government at a meeting of full council in March 2024. The county council hasn't agreed to submit a final document and itself, as yet, hasn't supported a combined county authority. But you're asking us to do that this evening. We've no idea what any final proposal will actually look like. So how you're putting the cart before the horse, asking us to approve and support a combined county authority, which we will have no idea what the final document looks like. It really does leave me bemused as to how you can do that, other than you really have decided that you will support this no matter what, and irrespective of any debate that takes place.
Thank you, Councillor Howard. Councillor Mary Green.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In my many years as a councillor, I've heard calls from members of this authority for the government to offer us a bespoke devolution deal. A deal that would bring decision making from Whitehall to Lancashire. A deal that would bring funding opportunities. A deal that would inject a real boost into the local economy. And a deal that would bring enhanced opportunities for the residents and the businesses of South Ribble to prosper. Importantly, Mr. Mayor, I heard calls for this bespoke deal not to require any local government reorganisation, so South Ribble could continue as an autonomous local authority. That there be no requirement for an elected mayor for Lancashire, who would take powers, create an extra layer of bureaucracy, and levy a significant council tax extra charge on our local residents. Well, I see that this is exactly what has been offered on the table. A deal that brings all of the above closer to the people. So we should all be supporting this deal this evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for that, Councillor Green. I have no one else wishing to speak. All right, okay, thank you. Councillor Pete Pillinger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the inside of the front page of the document produced by the for the Combined Authority, it says this document has been prepared by Lancashire County Council, Blackburn and Darwen Council and Blackpool Council. I would long to see a devolution proposal that said with the support of and every one of the other councils in Lancashire involved. And it's very clear that it hasn't been. And for that reason, and that reason is hugely important to us and to every other level of council that is equivalent to us across the county, I have to agree with the leader of the council that this is an inadequate deal. What were those 3 councils afraid of that they could not consult properly with the other layer of government? It is a sign of the lack of devolution involved in this, that those councils are not, that our level is not involved. In the Conservative amendment, they are making a request that there is a formal mechanism for the other councils to be involved. Shouldn't be a request, it should be a demand. How can a layer of democracy not be involved and that be democratic? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Paul Foster.
Thanks, Mayor. I just thought I would just briefly speak on the amendment and a couple of statements that have been made. I've noticed that none of the Conservative group have spoken against the UK SPF being taken from this council, and any member of this council that supports the combined authority deal as presented is knowingly supporting the removal of fundings from district councils. Let's be absolutely clear, that's something that Councillor Green said, and I've looked through this numerous times. It doesn't mention elected mayor anywhere. Elected mayor has been mentioned by both Councillor Walton and yourself. There's no mention of an elected mayor within the proposals. And I also said, if you remember at the beginning of my statement, I read out what this council agreed, that it wasn't about an elected mayor. So I don't know why an elected mayor is suddenly being mentioned. Is it justification to support your county colleagues? I'm not sure. Remember, colleagues, all we get the opportunity to do, because we've been excluded from this deal completely, is vote as an authority on the consultation. When the consultation's completed and concluded, the county council will make a decision whether or not it's going to adopt the county combined authority, and that's it. We don't get a vote ever again. This is the only opportunity we have as authority, is to put our proposals forward and our views forward. The other thing that I need to point out to members, because this is critically important and something that Councillor Phillipson at County hasn't mentioned, if there is a general election before October of this year, which quite possibly there will be, then this county combined authority, even if it is agreed by the county council, will never come to be, because the time required within Parliament to get it on the statute books requires an election to be called probably in January of next year, because it'll take at least till October and November of this year to get this on the statute book. Unfortunately, the county council haven't mentioned that to any of us, have they? And you can take your own view, Mayor, as to why that's the case. I now request, if we may, Mayor, vote on the amendment. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Right. I'm going to take two more and then move back to Councillor Walton. So I'm going to start with Councillor Philip-Smith.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think we need to be clear about this. This is, we are contributing to a consultation. We're not voting on it. We don't get a vote on it. We're quite clear on that we do not get a vote on it. So we are contributing to the consultation. Our amendment is contributing to the consultation. We would like to see the UK Prosperity Fund kept at the council. All the council, absolutely no doubt. So part of that consultation that we contribute to, that is what we're asking for. We're also asking for that the district leaders, whoever they may be, get a real input into what happens at the decision-making process. So as far as we are concerned, that will be part of the consultation. The next part of the consultation, I believe, is that County Council won't make a decision. From what I gather, they don't make the decision. All that the County Council are doing will collate the information that goes forward. They will collate all the information from the consultation. That will then go on a document to government, that will be laid before Parliament, and that a decision will be made in Parliament. That's as I have it, and I think that's a fairly accurate way that it will actually work next. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Matthew Tomlinson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think what I'm asking for, I'm glad that Councillor Smith started his remarks with, let me be clear, because I'm not clear what this amendment is. So, proposed amendment from the Conservative Group, proposed response to item 25. So are they suggesting that we leave all of item 25 as is in the document untouched, and this goes in as a response to item 25? Are they suggesting that item 25 is deleted and this is inserted. Quite what they're asking me to consider, I'm afraid that, correct me if I'm wrong, normally an amendment would say delete paragraph this, and replace with X, Y, and Z. This makes no mention of deleting anything in the agenda, in the item. So I'm led to presume that they want the current items to stay as it is, because the amendment is not asking us to take anything out of there. And that might change how people want to vote on, is it an addition? Is it an extra response? There's not many people being clear here, and it would really help me if somebody, perhaps the monitor officer, could advise.
I'm going to bring in Councillor Karen Moulton.
This afternoon, when I spoke to the Chief Executive, it was just a proposal. And when I spoke to the monitoring officer, he put it forward prior to the meeting. He proposed it as an amendment. What we proposed was to take out all item 25 because we feel that it's too wordy. It's too negative. It's not positive enough. And the two items that we put in cover the main points that we feel are the important points on point 25. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. There's nobody else coming in, so I would like to move to the vote on the amendment. Do you agree with the amendment? So it's 4. If you, yeah, absolutely. Go on then.
Sorry, I'm being bossy, Mr. Mayor. I do apologise.
I don't know.
Right, members. So there's been the clarification presented from Councillor Walton that the proposal is to replace paragraph 25 of the response to the consultation. So the existing paragraph 25 will be deleted, and the wording proposed on the subsequent piece of paper is to go in. There's been a request for a named vote, so I will read out each councillor's name in turn. Can you please indicate for, against or abstain, please? Councillor Alty. Councillor Ashton. Councillor Bedford.
No, against.
Against. Thank you. Councillor Bretherton. Councillor Buttery. Councillor Bilinski-Gelder. Councillor Campbell. Councillor Coulton. Councillor Farnworth. Councillor Forshaw. That 4. Thank you. Councillor Foster. Good. Councillor Gabbett. Councillor Gleave. Councillor Gleeson. Councillor Mary Green. Councillor Michael Green. Councillor Hancock. Councillor Hindle-Taylor. Councillor Howarth. Councillor Hunter. Councillor Jackson. Councillor King. Councillor Lillis. Councillor Lomax.
Against.
Councillor Martin. Councillor Mullineaux. Councillor Peat. Councillor Pillinger. Councillor Pritchard. Councillor Rainsbury. Councillor Roberts. Councillor Sharples. Councillor Shaw. Councillor Margaret Smith. Councillor Phil Smith. Councillor Stevens. Councillor Stringfellow. Councillor Matthew Tomlinson.
Again.
Councillor Turner. Councillor Unsworth. Councillor Walton. Councillor Watson. Councillor Wharton Hardman. And Councillor Williams. Okay, so the amendment hasn't been carried. 15 votes for, 29 against, no abstentions.
Thank you. That clearly falls. So we move to discussion on the substantive motion as it stands. Thank you very much. So we have people coming in to discuss this. Councillor David Howarth. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To say that this deal is underwhelming is putting it mildly, and it is at best a starting point that's light years away from our metropolitan counterparts. A commitment to devolution is a long-standing part of what makes us Liberal Democrats, where power is devolved down from the centre to local communities. What it is not is concentrating more power in the hands of an even more remote public body in which we will have little say. A governing body of 4 voting members, to which 2 of us from the 12 districts will be invited to observe, is akin to 4 people deciding to go out to a restaurant to which they invite 2 others, where all 6 can look at the menu, but only 4 get to eat, while the other 2 can have some peanuts from the bar. Not only is there a lack of devolved responsibility to the districts, but functions we already administer through the Shared Prosperity Fund will be sucked upwards in an opposite centralisation of power. The trade-off for this will be a 20 million sweetener, which in the great scheme of things and in the restaurant analogy is peanuts. Even the new powers on offer leave much to be desired. There will be no powers to govern local transport to enable the cross-subsidy of profitable and non-profitable routes. We will merely have the power to subsidise bus services from the public purse whilst private companies continue to cherry-pick money-making services. It is a nonsense that Longton Parish Council have had to fund a bus route to enable their residents to be able to use public transport. The references to new house building are woolly, do nothing to address land banking, and make little provision for social housing or council house building. Penwortham Mills has long since been demolished, but the land still sits empty without a brick being laid. And there is also a question over where these new arrangements sit with our local plans. Document makes reference to best value for council taxpayers' money, yet there is also reference to yet another chief executive, with sums of 250,000 and 500,000 in the first 3 years to meet the costs of establishing the combined authority. How much of that is the CEO salary and contributions going to eat up? There is reference under highways to strategic route networks without any clarity as to what those are or how they can be delivered. We currently have a strategic route from Howick to Lear, which has no connectivity due to the distinct lack of a bridge over the Ribble. We then have a section on public service reform, but no explanation as to what that is, whether that is reorganisation, whether that is restructuring, and Councillor Mary Green, you have no guarantee that things will remain as they are. And finally, Apparently, the combined authority will listen to residents and be open and transparent. How welcome that would be, if only I could believe it. There is little evidence of it at County Hall, where even elected members are not allowed to comment at Cabinet on matters that directly affect their divisions without written warning. And if you want to see an example of schemes being imposed on local communities without any consultation or input, then come and visit the Liverpool Road Cycle Superhighway, which is a contender for the Guinness Book of Records as the widest cycle path in the Western world. Not one single resident was asked whether they wanted that or were consulted on it. Quite frankly, this deal could leave us at the bottom of the second division, looking up at the riches of the Premier League. And on this side, Mr. Mayor, we will reluctantly be supporting the recommendations.
Thank you, Councillor Howard. Councillor Jackie Alty.
Thank you. I think your comments are pertinent and absolutely appropriate. And I'd like to say that I do agree with our leader on this side in all the comments that he's made. I think, yes, you're right. You do have to start somewhere in any process. And if you get it right at the beginning, then you can build on something solid and substantial. However, I think this combined authority document, this proposal, has demonstrated an intent and their desire to move forward at the cost of your borough council. And I think it's as simple as that. The fact that they are happy to include that in a proposal document on which there's a consultation and then it moves to somebody else to make a decision, removing us from that process is an appalling way to behave. There should have been more discussion. There should have been more openness with the leaders, and to actually include the removal in a proposal document cannot do anything other than take away any reassurance have that we're being listened to. And recent government decisions just reinforce that. So thank you for making my decision really clear tonight.
Thank you, Councillor Alty. Councillor Keith Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just think if you're going to vote for devolution, you really want it. The current plan does not give us any control over defined key routes within our area. It doesn't give us any priority over rail partnerships, for new rail partnerships. It doesn't give us consolidation of existing core local transport funding. It doesn't give us long-term investment funds or agreements on allocations. It doesn't give us a role in designing and delivering future contracts employment programs. It doesn't give us a mayor. There's no partnership with Homes England across affordable housing or brownfield sites. And we still have to hold elections for a police and crime commissioner. So we will still have to vote for someone to be in charge of something. When you look at the figures, this is all in the House of Commons library. I'm sure you've all checked that. Liverpool and Manchester in the next 30 years will get £900 million without having to do anything. They will just get given that money. There's £233 million of levelling up funding. Seems to be going more to the areas that have a mayor. So on this current proposal, I can't support this because it's no good to us. It's no good to us. We will continually have to fight for everything we need. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Martin. Councillor Matthew Farnworth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Devolution, if done right, is a great thing and should provide a positive change for businesses, residents and services alike. A transfer of power from the Westminster bubble to local people who know their area best. I'm baffled that it's taken 9 years to get to this point. A level 2 deal in which the only other localised region, which has been given the same one as us, is Cornwall. Now, as lovely as Cornwall is, we're Lancashire. Pioneering Lancashire, the county which brought Britain's first motorway and brought innovative manufacturing to the world from this very town. And now in the 21st century, Leyland Trucks, InBev, Runshaw College, to name a few innovators in the borough. This county deserves better and shouldn't be accepting second-rate deals. Now, one thing I ask myself is, what's in it for the most important people, the residents I'm elected to represent? How will someone who is just about making ends meet in 7 stars benefit from a level 2 deal? The level 2 deal, which doesn't even mention the health inequalities we see in this borough and throughout Lancashire. A good deal will allow district councils to tackle things like homelessness, social isolation and other matters. This is all left to the third sector and local district councils, who have very little funding from central government. These district councils, who know their population so well, but who have not been properly consulted on, and will see their UK Shared Prosperity Fund taken away. Having friends and family in the various towns which are included in the Greater Manchester City region, I've seen firsthand what real devolution can bring to the table for businesses and people. Now, who'd have thought that 10 local authorities can actually work across the political spectrum to bring real change headed by a directly elected mayor? Someone who's accountable for whether the buses don't run properly or whether businesses get the backing they require. With the Lancashire proposal, who's actually accountable to the people here at Safe Ribble? It's about accountability. Is it the leader of Blackpool, Blackburn or Lancashire? Or is it even my local county councillor? How can someone who's elected to represent Blackburn, for instance, have control of what is going on in Penwitham? I'm confused and, I'm into politics. So who knows what our residents will think? The proposals for the deal are vague and, to be frank, uninspiring. Some say that it's a start, but let's be real. £20 million, that's what we're being given. Greater Manchester and Liverpool get hundreds of millions of pounds. And even places like Lincolnshire, who have formed a CCA, but are implementing an elected mayor, get £28 million straight away, with a further £720 million worth of investment over 30 years. I'm also baffled how they have the cheek to go on about infrastructure projects, given that I'm pretty sure that the government has previously announced projects such as the Enterprise Zone at Samlesbury. What other strategic benefits will a CCA bring, given that LCC can't even double a bypass? What's in it for our businesses? I understand that a local business board will be established, but what's its power? Who is it accountable to? And what changes can they make with a low level of funding being provided? Finally, the deal talks about how the CCA will hold powers to improve and better integrate local transport. I'm all for an integrated transport network. I think we can all agree that the trains are unreliable and the bus network is so fragmented you can't even get from east to west in the county very easily, and most routes stop after 11 p.m. The commitments on transport in this document are extremely vague. Our transport system is broken. What are we going to do about it now, not in a decade's time? I've also read that Blackpool will retain control of its transport network. Now tell me, how's that part of having an integrated transport network? For these reasons, I believe that we should send a message to the consultation and let's go back to the table to get a better deal for our residents on Lancashire.
Thank you, Councillor Farnworth. Before I move to our next speaker, I'm going to say, unless I see someone who wants to speak against the proposal, then I'll wind up after the next speaker and come back to Councillor Foster to finish. So, Councillor Paul Wharton-Hardman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Whilst it may be perceived as a step forward, and we've heard tonight that we should vote for this, we should vote to support this, and it's a step forward for Lancashire, it's crucial for us to recognise that this deal really does represent a missed opportunity, one that has the potential to actually further widen disparities in service provision, economic opportunities and accountability in comparison to our neighbouring combined authorities. Looking at the specifics of this proposal, we've already discussed the £20 million. It's highlighted as a positive aspect, but it really is nothing short of derisory. More concerning is the fact that it's primarily aimed at Lancashire County Council assets, leaving South Ribble and its residents with little to no tangible benefits. What adds to my unease is the way this agreement looks like it's been reached, or we're consulting on this. It's been conducted behind closed doors and rushed through. Not sure what reasons why, but it appears LCC are purely only grabbing the low-hanging fruits, which often can be the bad ones. It's often said that the best fruit's at the top of the tree, but it appears LCC don't want to reach for the good ones because they're clearly afraid of falling. Maybe somebody should buy them some climbing boots. As a councillor at South Ribble, I've always supported the idea of securing an ambitious devolution deal for Lancashire. However, what is being proposed is far from ambitious. The establishment of this combined authority from the plans we've been given can be characterised by a lack of ambition, evidencing an undemocratic nature, and introducing inherent unfairness by diminishing the powers of our local communities. What I want to do is encourage each and every resident. There's not been a great deal of publicity on this other than social media. I've seen nothing else really. And I feel we really need to encourage all our residents to get involved in the LCC consultation, however biased it may read, and tell Lancashire County Council their views that they don't want this deal. It's not suitable for Lancashire and we can do better.
Thank you for that, Councillor Wharton-Hardman. We do have someone else speaking. We've got Councillor Connor Watson. Please, sir.
Oh, is the microphone working? Sorry, I thought it turned green when it started working. To pick up where what Councillor Foster said about the Salisbury site, as a student of cybersecurity, I'm stunned. The bright future for such a key sector in our own backyard, it clearly doesn't craft benefits for Lancashire and South Ribble. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Universities are already gearing up and interacting with the relevant services and employers for the industry, reaching out to future recruits with bursaries on offer and things like that. With cybersecurity being such a key employer in the area, if not the main one, I believe we should be championing this. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Councillor Watson. I have no other speakers, so I am going to offer Councillor Foster the right to wind us up.
Wind you up. I'm good at that.
You think that?
So just quickly, Councillor Watson, I am wholly supportive of the UK Cyber Force going to Salisbury. However, that funding has already been announced by government, completely separate to this county combined authority. There's a £5 billion investment direct from government, a strategic infrastructure project. And what you've done there is you've just highlighted the issue with this combined authority. This is a fudge. They've offered £5 million to enhance something that they've already got a £5.5 billion investment earmarked for. So that shows you what the government think of Lancashire and shows you what they think of this combined authority, because it's already funded separately, and that's not devolution. That's not devolution. And I totally and utterly associate myself with Councillor Howarth and Councillor Farnworth's comment as well. Really well made. Because what we're asking for here is devolution. And it was quite ironic, Councillor Smith, Phil, that you said that for our devolution, and you're right, by the way, for our devolution, we're going to go back to the government and ask them to sign it off. You know, it's so ironic, isn't it? You know, that we know what we want. We've said what we want, and every single council in Lancashire less than 2 years ago agreed on what we wanted. But this isn't what's been offered to us now. And Councillor Walton, I'm so disappointed that you said that the council's response, and I'm going to read out a couple of paragraphs just quickly so we clearly know what we're voting on, was too wordy and too negative. This is the most positive negative I've ever seen written by the officers, because we've not just said why we don't support it. In every element there of those recommendations, we say what we support and why, but why we want more or why it could be better. And the reason it is wordy, Councillor Walton, is because, I'm sorry, where is it? That isn't a response to a consultation on something so important to my community. That's a response, because what we're saying to the county is what we would want to see, which would enhance the devolution deal for our communities. And I totally get what was said earlier. I really am bothered. This is devolution, remember, about giving us and our communities more powers, more investment. And the way this is presented is leaders of unelected authorities in this borough, Blackburn and Blackpool, will be making strategic decisions that impact our community. How on earth is that devolution? Somebody please tell me how that is devolution, because it's not. And I'll just give you two examples before I just quickly sum up on the recommendations that we've been asked to vote on. County Council is saying to us, trust us, we'll work with you all. I ask you all, how much consultation and discussion have they had with this council about the Cuerden strategic development site that they are now working on? None. How much consultation, colleagues, have they had with this council about the huge cricket ground they're building in Farrington now? None. Do you know when we found out as an authority that they'd started on site? We read it, colleagues, on social media. That's what the county council bring when they talk about consultation. We can't go forward as the document is presented. And to sum up, Mayor, this is what we've been asked to do. We're saying that South Ribble Borough Council recognises that devolution has the potential to secure significant benefits for Lancashire, bringing decision-making and accountability closer to residents. Other areas of the North West, most notably Greater Manchester and Liverpool City region, have already benefited from their devolution deals. This council is then going on to say, effective devolution should encourage strong economic growth and increase productivity, alongside better health and well-being and strengthened public services. And finally, Mayor, this council is saying, unfortunately, the proposals currently being consulted on are unlikely to lead to those benefits, and so South Ribble Borough Council cannot support them. The council has some specific concerns about these proposals, and these are set out below in paragraph A through to G. And I make no apology for it being wordy, because what we're trying to say is not just we don't support it, we're saying what we'd like to see to put us in a position so that we could support it. And I commend those recommendations to council. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Foster, for summing up. It is a named vote, so I am now. Was it not? Okay, that's fine. Thank you. It's not a name vote. Pardon? Thank you for the first and seconder of that. We will then move to a named vote. I'll just allow time for it to be filled in. Okay, and I'll hand over to the monitoring officer.
Apologies, members. The vote is on the substantive recommendation, which is the consultation responses at paragraphs 23 to 25 of the report. Can you please indicate for, against or abstain? Councillor Alty, Councillor Ashton, Councillor Bedford, Councillor Bretherton, Councillor Buttery, Councillor Bilinski-Gelder, Councillor Campbell, Councillor Coulton, Councillor Farnworth, Councillor Forshaw, Councillor Foster, Councillor Gabbett, Councillor Gleave, Councillor Gleeson, Councillor Mary Green, apologies, members, Councillor Mary Green, Councillor Michael Green, Councillor Hancock, Councillor Hindle-Taylor, Councillor Howarth, Councillor Hunter, Councillor Jackson, Councillor King, Councillor Lillis, Councillor Lomax,
4,
Councillor Martin, Councillor Mullineaux,
Yeah.
Councillor Peat, Councillor Pillinger, Councillor Pritchard, Councillor Rainsbury, Councillor Roberts, Councillor Sharples, Councillor Shaw, Councillor Margaret Smith, Councillor Phil Smith, Councillor Stevens, Councillor Stringfellow, Councillor Matthew Tomlinson, Councillor Turner, Councillor Unsworth, Councillor Walton, Councillor Watson, Councillor Wharton-Hardman, Councillor Williams. Thank you. Got different numbers this time. Okay, the recommendation in relation to the consultation response has been carried. 30 votes for, 14 against.
Thank you. That's clearly carried. I'd like to thank everyone for coming in tonight for this meeting. I would also like to thank you on behalf of my wife, because if I didn't get on for traitors, I'd be a dead man. And I would like to remind you that our next full council meeting is on the 31st of January. Yes, any other?
Equality and Diversity has just asked if we're doing a named vote in future, can we ask that everybody puts the microphone on for people who are watching at home or indeed who are listening with a loop? Just a bit of housekeeping.
As ever, Councillor Alty, that is of course accepted, and I do apologise yet again to you on my behalf. I can't apologise for the rest of the rabble, but on my behalf, thank you. Meeting closed and I've no gavel. Thank you.